Hello everyone and welcome to the channel. I'm Emmanuel, I'm a former Boeing 737 pilot and a member of PMDG's tech team. Today I have the honor to show you the PMDG Universal Flight Tablet in the PMDG 737. Now this tablet is not just going to come to the 73 but also to the 777 on the day of release and successive PMDG products. It's unclear yet if it can come to the DC-6 as well, so that is something that PMDG will have to look into when the development resources are available, but right now they said they have a rather full agenda of it. Alright, with the basics out of the way, let's have a look into what the PMDG Universal Flight Tablet can do. The first thing you'll notice when you look at the main screen is that there are two apps available, the Electronic Flight Bag and the Performance tool. You will notice, however, that there is a lot of empty space left. Now this empty space can be used by third-party developers to interface and bring their own applications to the PMDG Universal Flight Tablet. My personal hope here is that we will see, for example, the Virtual Performance tool over here, which looks a little bit different than PMDG's own performance tool and has a couple more options available to it as well. So third-party solutions can be integrated right on the main screen up here. Alright, so with that out of the way, let's have a look into the apps that we have available at the moment though. Do note that at the point of this recording I am using a beta version pre-release for the recording itself, so you will possibly see some small changes to the final release version. Also note that in the beta the amount of functionality that we have available right now is not complete yet, so PMDG have said that after release they're going to do a lot of additional tools for the Universal Flight Tablet, like for example the ability to change the options and stuff like that, which you right now have down here in the FMC, in the PMDG menu and the FS actions. With that out of the way, let's have a look into what we get with the first version of the PMDG Universal Flight Tablet. We're going to start with the Electronic Flight Bag app in here. It greets you on the main screen where you can request data from SimBrief, like over here we've got our current Transavia flight that I have just planned. Now, on the right hand side we've got different maps available, and in here by default it starts on a Google map, but we can switch this to Navigraph charts as well, having different charts available from the world chart over the IFR high altitude, IFR low altitude and the VFR chart. Now for today let's have a look into the IFR high altitude, and starting right here on the main page. If we zoom in all the way, you will see that we can also get the Navigraph Safe Taxi system, which is based on the real Safe Taxi data. Let's go full screen here for a moment to see the different options we have available. We can switch it obviously between daylight and nighttime charts. Personally, I do prefer the nighttime for our Safe Taxi. So other options we have, then obviously you can zoom it. You can either lock the location to your airplane's location, or you can disable that option in order to move around the chart freely, like you might do for example for a briefing or when looking ahead to understand your taxi route. On the bottom then you can change between Google Maps and between the Navigraph maps, for those of you who don't own a Navigraph subscription. Personally, I can absolutely recommend the Navigraph subscription, but just be aware that when I say something like that, I do absolutely mean it, but I also received a free copy of the Navigraph charts or free subscription, so just have that in mind. Talking about transparency and such. Alright, down from there we get our OFP reader. This is simply the operational flight plan that we have imported on the previous screen from Navigraph. So in here we've got the overall view of the summary, including our scheduled times and the button to request new data, and things like our call sign or our aircraft registration, aircraft type, zero fuel weight, and so on. Don't worry about this alternate undefined indication that I'm getting up here. As mentioned, this is a beta and that's a known thing that's being worked on. Alright, so moving down then, we got our Navigraph operational flight plan that we can view in here, and that we can zoom and that we can scroll in. And on top of scrolling you can also click and drag it, which in my opinion is a little bit easier. That summons the Navigraph SimBrief integration. So let's have a look at the top screen once more, down here where we have the ability to request weather data. You can see we can do things quite simple: departure, arrival and alternate. Now, alternate, as I mentioned, currently showing undefined in the beta, but you can literally type anything here. For example, I can go for Düsseldorf and search for that as well, and get the meta of pretty much any of those airports. Now, next to the meta viewer, there's also a simple weather viewer for the less experienced, or for those who just need very quick access and are not 100% comfortable with the meta formats. So here you get the temperature, dew point, wind, and the QNH in a very simple format. Alright then, going down from here we've got our Navigraph charts. Now, before going into the actual Navigraph charts, the first thing you need to do is, well, ignore the information screen, but rather go to the general settings, and down here you need to link your tablet with the Navigraph server so that you can actually access the Navigraph charts. Now, going into here, we've got a very simple format in there, really. You've got the overview where you can see all the charts. For example, down here we've got our airport chart for Paris Charles de Gaulle Airport, with our airplane position on there, and with the ability to drag that position along on all the charts that are geo-referenced. But do note that that isn't the case with all charts. So, for example, over here you can see we don't have positions, so the chart is not geo-referenced. But for the sake of it, let's just take a couple of those charts and we can pin them on the right over there. So we've now got the airport chart and we've got the parking stand chart pinned. And then on our SID chart we can pick whatever departure we would like to fly, for example like that. Also might want to take the reference charts. Personally, I always like the radar minimum chart. Going on to the pinned display then, you will find that it is still sorted based on the different tabs, so airport chart, SID chart, reference chart, and so on. But you will also notice that it is sorted by airport. For example, over here, clicking on this, we can hide and show the different charts of the airport we've just pinned. This becomes useful, for example, when going over to the arrival charts now. Let's say we're setting up our approach in Amsterdam and picking the charts for the airport and the parking stands and the approach. So let's take, for example, the RMP approach runway 36 right over here. Now if we go to the pinned charts, you will see that on the airport chart tab, we got both Paris and Amsterdam. So like this, you can easily hide them without the requirement to unpin every single one of those charts, so that you get quick access to the charts you need over here. Alright, and that is the simplicity of the Navigraph chart interaction that we've got in the PMDG 737 Universal Flight Tablet. Now, going on from here, let's move on to the performance tool. Now, there's an easy and a realistic way how you can do these things. Do note I'm listing easy and realistic as separate topics over here, because obviously in real life you don't have those import buttons up here. Now, for those of you who just want to make 3 clicks and have your takeoff data ready, you can simply click import everywhere, and that's going to be it. You will notice that based on the Navigraph uplink, the departure airport ICAO is already shown in there. And now we simply need to select a runway. Let's take 9 right, just as an example. The aircraft data you can either import from the operational flight plan or from the aircraft. Why is there a difference between the two? Well, that's quite easy, because if you import from the operational flight plan, you can be sure you will have the exact weight, but for example, CG data isn't available from flight plan. If you click import from aircraft, then it is going to take just exactly what you have in the airplane at the moment you click the import button. So especially when you're using real-time boarding and real-time refueling, just be aware of the two differences of one another, and it might just be the best idea to fill out the expected weights manually. Finally, you can import the weather down here as well, and that is basically it, all you need. So you can hit calculate and you're going to get your takeoff data calculated. Now, as I mentioned, in real life, you wouldn't have those import buttons. So if we just clear that stuff out, let's go ahead and do that stuff manually. So we can type in LFPG and take the airport from right here. Take the runway once again, let's say 9 right. The aircraft data down here, well, weight and CG would need to be filled out manually. Let's say we've got a 65-ton takeoff weight with a 24% CG. And finally, the weather data, we could fill that stuff in manually. What I quite like over here, if you do an input that is not supported, let's say for example, you do something like minus 25 knots of tailwind, and then try to click that, then the tablet would show you a little pop-up usually Okay, beta version. So let's just take something that is really not supported, /5, and hit insert on that. Maybe include a QNH as well. And now, if you hit calculate, you're going to get information like, okay, wind speed must be in the format so-and-so. So it tells you when you've inserted something that you were not supposed to insert, and it tells you how to correct for that. So let's say, for example, our wind right now is going to be 200 at 5. Here we go, hit calculate, and there our data is again. Alright, so next up we've got the landing dispatch, something that you do actually need to calculate in real life, because you need to determine if you're actually going to be able to land at your destination. So you can simply import all of that stuff, hit calculate, and the quick calculation is done, telling you your quick turnaround weight and all the different stuff. Alright, and that is how the performance calculator works. Later on, the enroute calculator, you basically do the same thing again. Let's retake that runway 36 right, we said import all the details. And that's basically it. Do note, when you do that import, it's going to take the current weight, at least in the version 1.0, it's taking the current weight. I do hope that this is eventually going to be sorted. Well, let's take a 63-ton landing weight over here. And do note, it defaults to auto brakes 3, since that is what you kind of use the most often in the actual airplane. But it can be worth running calculations here for all the different settings. You can see how big the difference can eventually be between auto brake 3 and 2. Auto brake 2 giving you some 2,400 meters over here, while auto brake 3 is giving you some 1,853 meters. So you can see, it can be worth running those different calculations as well. Alright, that's the basic apps that come with the PMDG Universal Flight Tablet on the moment of its release. As mentioned, developers have the ability to add their own apps into here, so I'm really hoping that we'll see stuff like direct SimRief access, or like the virtual performance tool being added, and maybe some interesting stuff that we can't even think about at the moment of this recording. So that's the first look at the PMDG Universal Flight Tablet. I do absolutely hope that you found this one interesting. Do let me know in the comments below, and let me know what you think of it as well. A final word here of a personal line of thought. From the first previews, I saw a couple of people being unhappy about not having stuff like the weight and balance loading of the plane and stuff like that. Well, yeah, while it would be nice to have those, the PMDG Universal Flight Tablet actually is only the second one that has the 3 basic functions of an electronic flight bag in the real world. The first one being the Phoenix, obviously, which are flight planning, charts, and performance. And this actually is only the second tablet coming out that actually has all these 3 features that are the basis of any real-life electronic flight bag. Alright, that's it for this video. Thank you very much for watching, and I do hope that you enjoyed this one. If you liked it, be sure to leave a like, as it helps with the YouTube algorithms, and finally make sure to subscribe if you're interested in more. Next up is going to be a full flight from A to B with the tablet, where you will see it in action as we go along and take it flying. Thank you very much for your attention. As always, if you did like it, then I would appreciate to see you either as a channel member, or maybe make a small donation through the Buy Me a Coffee link in the video description below. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you all again on the next one.